What airline do you guys think of when I say the airline industry?
Delta, United, Southwest, American Airlines, Lufthansa.
Very good. I heard a few of you mention American Airlines, and that's the topic of today's TED Talk. American Airlines is one of the world's largest airline corporations by fleet size, revenue, profit, and number of passengers serviced. The airline boasts an expansive fleet of over 942 planes of various models. It has a revenue of more than $42.7 billion per year and profit equal to $2.9 billion per year. American Airlines is also one of the largest airlines by destination service, second to only United Airlines, which is its largest competitor. There are upwards of 350 destinations that American Airlines services, and over 50 of those are international. American Airlines is headquartered in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and but it's still able to serve 83 international cities. American Airlines' continued success in this sensitive and very competitive industry can be attributed to many years of good business practice. American Airlines has been able to grow so rapidly due to acquisitions and mergers with other successful airline companies that have just increased its market share. In fact, American Airlines was first created as the result of many small airlines merging together almost 100 years ago. American Airlines was originally known as American Airways when it was first created in 1926. The first American Airlines flight was formed by Charles A. Lindbergh, who was a high-ranking aviator at Robertson Aircraft Corporation. The first American Airways flight was not commercial, though. It was to carry U.S. postal mail from St. Louis to Missouri to Chicago, Illinois. Lindbergh's company was one of the only companies that had a contract with the government to deliver postal mail by plane. And this made the company very, very valuable when the American Airline Corporation decided to buy tons of small airline companies to consolidate into one major airline back in 1930. And in 1930, American Airways created. In 1934, American Airways changed its name to American Airlines, which is the brand we all know today. And since the creation of American Airlines, it has gone through 5 successful merges with companies like Trans-Caribbean Airways, Air California, Reno Air, Trans World Airlines, and in 2013 up until 2015, it merged with U.S. Airways. And the result of that is it now has the largest market share in the U.S. airline industry. American Airlines is the child aircraft company of the parent company American Airlines Group. American Airlines Group is an incorporation, and as an incorporation, it has a lot of unique characteristics. One of the characteristics is that it's a public company with stocks that are publicly traded. This means that in addition to the board of directors and officers, executives, and employees of the company, public citizens are allowed to buy shares of stock in the company. This is beneficial. This is a mutually beneficial relationship because it allows citizens to invest in the company and share in the profit. It also minimizes the risk of investing because no one person is liable for all of the company's debt or even success. It also is beneficial because it provides the company with money for investment spending. Another quality of a corporation is that it's almost like a person. American Airlines Group has to pay its own taxes, it has to report its income, its revenue, and it also can have debt, just like a regular citizen. The company is essentially independent of everybody who works for it. Although the board of directors are responsible for keeping it running, they're not necessarily liable if the company is in a lawsuit. Those are the main characteristics of a corporation. And for many large companies, incorporating is a very good strategy because it allows a lot of capital inflow. The Chief Executive Officer of American Airlines Group is W. Douglas Parker. And the president of the board of directors is John T. Cahill. Like I mentioned earlier, they are not directly liable for any of the company's losses, but they are very responsible for the management of the company and its overall success, how much revenue it brings in, the profit, and they just keep things running smoothly. American Airlines, as you can see, has a pretty sensitive stock. The industry that American Airlines is very sensitive to just certain things. And over the past few years, and especially the past few months, American Airlines stock has been wavering up and down and up and down. As you can see, this is the 1 month trend line for American Airlines stock. It has been consistently falling with a few boosts up and down along the way, but the stock price has been falling. Although the stock price has fallen, this isn't indicative of poor business practice or a failing company. There are many reasons why the stock prices of American Airlines could be falling. Because American Airlines is very sensitive to inputs like gasoline, rising fuel prices. Fuel prices were low at the end of 2015, but they've been rising in 2016. Also, the reason why American Airlines, this is a 1 year and 5 year graph of American Airlines stock prices, and the reason why American Airlines stock rose very high towards the end of 2015 is because it merged with US Airways. This merge excited investors, so it raised the price of the stock, and it also contributed to American Airlines' growing share of the market and growing revenue. This is the annual income statement for American Airlines. It shows that over the years, although revenue has not been consistently rising, profit has been consistently rising, and they have made no losses. This is one of the reasons why American Airlines is the largest airline company in the United States. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the market structure and conditions. As I mentioned earlier, American Airlines is a part of the U.S. airline industry, which is an oligopoly. In 2005, 11 airline companies accounted for 96% of the market share. The amount of competing has largely decreased by then, mostly because of a lot of consolidation between already large airlines. Now, as of 2014, 5 airline companies make up 94% of the market share. In the last 9 years, American Airlines merged with US Airways, AirTran merged with Southwest, United Airlines merged with Continental, and Delta merged with Northwest Airlines. Say hi to my teacher. Say hi, Mr. Lee. Say hi, Mr. Lee.
Where?
Right there at the camera. Hi.
Oh.
Okay. The consolidation of the already large firms has increased the market share of each of the major firms, and the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index confirms this fact. The merger between U.S. Airways and American Airlines alone increased the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index to over 2,500, indicating that the airline industry in the U.S. is in fact an oligopoly. The top 3 firms in the U.S. industry, American, United, and Delta, have market shares of 26%, 25%, and 23% respectively. And the figure below shows the effects of the mergers and consolidations on market share as determined by revenue. As you can see, before the merger, American Airlines had lost a little bit of its market share. But after it merged with US Airways, it regained its market share.